What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today we're going to dip back to just a couple days ago to the CGC interview that I did with Andy and Matt. There was a little nugget in there very, very late in the interview. It was around the 47-minute mark, 45, 46, 47-minute mark. It was around the section where we were discussing Signature Series. For those that aren't aware what Signature Series is and kind of how CGC handles autographs in general, and I'm going to talk both cards and comics. So CGC at present does not do autograph authentication. If you want a comic signed or a card, they've only done one card through Signature Series so far, which was the Todd McFarlane signing. But they have actors, actresses, artists, and stuff through all the time to do comic book signings. It's a huge, huge operation for them. But for that, you submit your item, they sign it, grade it, and it's all done in-house or at a convention, and someone from CGC physically witnesses the signature being done because they don't offer autograph authentication. So if you want a comic book signed and slabbed by CGC with a Signature Series label, they have to see it happen. So if you got something signed in person, whatever the case might be, same with cards. Trading cards right now, you can only submit pack pulled stuff or something through their Signature Series event. Now, on the card side, Signature Series stuff has been very limited. So far, it's just been McFarlane, which is done and completed. And they have one currently running right now with Rob Liefeld, where you could submit cards for and have them signed. But if you go to the Signature Series website for the comic book side, there are tons of people on there. Actors, actresses, the whole 9 yards. I'll pull it up here and just kind of scroll through it real quick. You can just kind of get an idea. Brie Larson, Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, Haley Steinfeld, a bunch of different artists, Chris Hemsworth, Andrew Garfield, Elizabeth Olsen, Emilia Clarke, Chris Pratt. I mean, we're talking some pretty big names on the pop culture side, some Game of Thrones actors, Marvel actors. I mean, just, good actors that have been in tons of stuff, a bunch of different artists, Colin Farrell. I mean, this list goes on and on and on. This is a massive list of signers that they have, but you can only send comic books in for these. And like I said, things have to be witnessed. So in the comic book world, if you want something signed, like I said, CGC has to witness it. However, CBCS, which is Beckett's comic book division, because it's part of Beckett, has autograph authentication. So you can send in signed books to CBCS and they will grade them, authenticate them, and label them. And they have a label that says witnessed and one that says authenticated. So you know if one was actually signed in front of a witness or if it was someone that an authenticator looked at and deemed that it was okay. Well, I'm going to cut to the clip of Andy and Matt. And I believe it was just Andy that answered this question. Matt followed up, but I sliced it off before Matt gets into it. And then we'll circle back here in a minute. On the Signature Series and I think I kind of know the answer to this based on what you hinted at earlier, but is that going to open up a little bit more in regards to submissions? Because, you log on now to the Signature Series website and there's just a boatload of, actors, artists, all sorts of people that you look at. And, I was clicking on some and I was like, oh man, I would love to submit a card for this to have Haley Steinfeld sign it or Elizabeth Olsen or Chris Evans, whoever was on the list. And then you click on it and it's like, sorry, comic books only. And I was giving Susan, your marketing person, hell, I was like, I would like to give you my money. Will you please take it? And you guys won't let me give it to you for certain things. And that's something that's very unique to you guys. Like as a submitter, as a collector, that's a huge advantage that I view that you guys have, because you have these people come through your doors all the time that I could send collectibles in and kind of don't have to worry about it. I love the like on my McFarlane slabs, it says like this item was signed by Todd on this specific date, and I know that it was witnessed by someone in your building. There's no questions about it at all. Is that something that you guys are going to try to leverage on the trading card space or even the sports card space as we kind of move into the future?
Yeah, I mean that's the Signature Series right there. We'll be just like in comics. Our plan is to not only continue on the non-sports side with Marvel, like we've done with McFarlane already, and we have more names coming. But on the sports side as well, athletes will be doing some athlete signings and things of that nature. I'm very excited about the autograph, not only signature series, but eventually also autograph authentication. I'm a big signed card guy, and so I love getting cards signed, and I'm really excited because, to your point, we work with all the big names in the comics industry. I know Todd McFarlane's one of our biggest advocates. He loves it. But we see that on the card side as well. Being able to expand and not just comic related signings, but sports, and also the artists like on Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. Doing signings with the artists from those series as well. So there's a lot of great opportunities, and again, all this move is done to align us to be able to do those types of things.
So as you heard there, Andy basically teases that autograph authentication is coming. Now, this is a big deal for two reasons. One, like I kind of talked about on the comic book side, CBCS's, Beckett's comic book division, kind of the one thing they had going for them was that they did non-in-person autographs. So they would authenticate and slab them. And the one slight knock on CGC was like, hey, how come you guys don't offer this? How come you guys don't get into this? Boy, if they ever did this, CBCS would really be in trouble because it's kind of like the one thing that they have carved out. So this is actually a pretty big deal in the comic book space. On the trading card side of things, right now, all we have is PSA and Beckett. They're both very good at it. I don't really see a lot of issues with autograph verification through those two, but this would now be another major player on the card side, sports cards, non-sports cards, whatever, that would do in-person autos through the mail autos, whatever, that you could send in and have authenticated. That would kind of elevate them above SGC. Of the big four grading companies, all four, or three of the four, would offer autograph authentication, whereas SGC still wouldn't. They'll just grade a card, and then they'll grade a pack pulled auto, but something you got signed in person, they won't mess around with. Now, will this eventually come to comic books? That's the thing. Remember, these are trading card guys that I interviewed for the trading card side, but you can make the logic leap that if you're going to have a team of people that can authenticate autographs, why would you limit that to just the card side, and why would you not expand that out to the comic book division? So maybe it comes to cards first, they build the team out, and then expand it into the comic book world at all. Now, they have not officially announced anything. We don't know when this is coming, how it's going to work, all that stuff. But that was, and a couple people in the comments caught on to it. They're like, wait, did he just say they're going to do autograph verification at some point in time? And they indeed did. And like I said, on the sports card world, or on the card side, I shouldn't even just say sports cards. On the card side of things, it's a deal. It's not a huge deal. It is nice to see more competition in that space. And like I said, I do think that will kind of elevate them above SGC in that regards in terms of product offerings. On the comic book side, I think this is going to have potential major ripples at some point in time later down the road. And then, just to kind of put a bow on this, I do think, say what you will about CGC, the resale value on the card side specifically, on comics, they dominate, but in trading cards, the resale value is not as good as some of the other brands out there, especially in sports. TCG, they're a little bit more competitive. Same with Marvel. We'll see what the label switch up does with that. But the one thing that they have that nobody else does, and I don't think anyone's even equipped for it or have the connections to pull it off, is the Signature Series events of this page right here. They are constantly having big names come through for these signings. Now, they're not always super cheap. We'll look at the Kit Harington one here. What is the charge for this? $259 per item. But someone like Kit Harington, there is not a lot. Go look at a Kit Harington pack pulled Game of Thrones auto. Now, pack pulled's always going to sell for more. It's just kind of a nature of the beast. But to be able to get his autograph on any card that you choose, potentially, in the future, I see a lot of appeal for that. I really like the idea. The thing that I really like the idea of is, like, Haley Steinfeld, for those that don't know, one, she played Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. She's also the voice actress for Spider-Gwen. So you could send in, hypothetically in the future when they get this up and running, you could send in Spider-Gwen cards and have her sign them. That would be very unique. She has one pack-pulled autograph from Into the Spider-Verse. That's it. Now I could send in whatever Spider-Gwen card that I want. It doesn't have to be something from the In the Spider-Verse set. I really think the options specifically for Marvel cards here, and once again, you kind of blow it out to more, are really endless. You know, imagine sending in a 1990 MU Thor card to Chris Hemsworth to have him sign it. I think that would be really cool. This is the one thing I think that CGC has and they do very well are these in-house signing events. They do them all the time and they get A+ listers in a lot of cases. You're not going to see Robert Downey Jr., but Chris Hemsworth, for an example, is a very big name. Emilia Clarke is a very big name. Her autos go for a large sum of money, especially in Game of Thrones stuff. So I'm excited to see where Signature Series stuff goes with them. I'm excited to see how the autograph authentication thing works. Like I said, on the card side, I don't know how big of a deal that will be. But on the comic book side, that does have some major implications specifically for CBCS. The other big thing I took out of that sit down that kind of ties in with this is the custom label that they kind of talked about. If you're not familiar with the custom labels on the CGC Comics division, they're not custom per se, like you can't design them, but they will kind of rotate through different label options and they usually tie into a specific comic book character. That's why they were talking about trademarks and that. For example, the X-Men one for years was kind of like the cover of Giant Size X-Men 1, where the X-Men team is running out and they put a little X-Men logo behind the grade marker. They look really good. There's some good Spider-Man ones out there. And they kind of rotate them through and then they retire them. I think it would be really cool to have something like that come to the trading card space. On the Marvel side, the options are obviously endless with the individual characters. But what about on the sports card side? Even just something as simple as the team logo on the label, I think would be really interesting. Or there's a lot of other different places that you can go with that. But at minimum, just having the team logo up there, I think would bring a lot of appeal for certain cards, especially PC stuff. So that's all I got for you, boys and girls. Like I said, I kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that statement that they made or comment that Andy made because it kind of snuck in there. It was very late in the interview. I'm not sure how many people caught it, and I'm not sure how many people realized the ramifications that this could potentially have on the comic book side. If, and I assume that it will eventually get there at some point in time. That's all I got for you, boys and girls. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.